Hello, happy Sunday. I'm jumping in here real quick before our collective week ahead card pulls to share something with you that's deeply personal to me that I'm going to be offering for the rest of this month. So, just about for the next 10 days, I have something really exciting that I am launching into. You may or may not know that April is Sarcoidosis Awareness Month, and this is something that's very close. It's touched my life very deeply, most especially with the passing last year of my dear, dear friend Barb, as well as close family and friends who are still battling sarcoidosis. And so I've launched this special mission that's called Cards for a Cause. When I saw that Barb's family had formed Team Breathe for Barbie and were raising money for sarcoidosis research for the Foundation for Sarcoidosis Research, I knew that I wanted to make a donation to their team. And I thought that perhaps we could do it here together, where my goal is to donate at least $227 to their cause by April 30th. So, what's in it for you? Two cards for $27. 227 is Barb's birthday. It is a magic number that she sends me daily, that I put together this mini session where I will be pre-recording your reading. We'll pull two cards as well as a charm for a message from spirit, and I will send that link to you in May. So all you have to do is Venmo me $27 with your email address, and I'll get you on the list. There's also ways, if you're not interested in a reading, you can donate directly to the team, or if you want to donate directly to the team and then get a reading, you just need to send me the screenshot of your donation. These are also highly giftable. So if you want to gift a reading or buy multiples, that would be amazing as well. So whatever works for you, I am very excited to be doing this. We're going to be launching into it here in the month of May, but we do have just 10 more days to get those donations in, and I will be delivering that lump sum donation. 100% of the proceeds will be going to Team Breathe for Barbie. So thank you so much for being a part of this in whatever way you can. Already had 4 people jump in. Thank you so much. So appreciated. We need at least 6 more to reach our goal, but the more the merrier. So if you're not able to participate, no worries. Just pass it along to someone you think maybe, or like I say, if you aren't interested in a reading, you could gift one to someone, and then that's a double dip to pay it forward and brighten someone's day. So all the details are in the links. You can also check the caption if you're seeing this in my social media spaces and my bio. So let's get into it now with our card pulls for the week ahead and see what is coming up. Much love and many blessings. Hello, welcome in. It is Sunday evening, a little late tonight, but we're getting in here for our week ahead card pulls for the collective. And it was a heated weekend with that new moon in Aries and all this fire energy that will continue in over these next 2 weeks, really feeling between this new moon in Aries to the full moon in Scorpio happening on May 1st. There is so much initiating and pioneering energy for setting out to new beginnings, new ideas, fresh energy, and that's all going to be grounded in with tomorrow's sun in Taurus. That's right. Aries season. Goodbye. Hello, Taurus season. Happy birthday to all of our Tauruses out there. We are going to be grounding it in, getting down to earth. We're going to talk about that a little bit in the astrological weather in just a few minutes. But first, we're going to dive into pulling our cards. We have I think we might have one more week with our sparkly Spring Waite Tarot that we've been enjoying here throughout April. And I'm going to bring in the deck that I used for the Aries New Moon Empowerment reading that I just did with the Empowerment Pack group, the Sacred Traveler. And this is really capturing the essence of this setting out pioneer energy of Aries, which is really so beautifully aligned with April's full frequency, new beginnings, falling into it, going for it, stepping out. So without further ado, because we've got a bunch to go over here, we're going to shuffle up and see what is coming in for this week. For the collective, I have just brought in the higher self, connection and alignment energy for connecting in with our highest selves, looking from a collective perspective at the energies that are coming in this week through the cards as well as the stars, because we're going to dip into some of the cosmic weather as well. and we will bring through some intuitive messages where you are always invited to take what resonates and leave the rest. That's how it works with a collective reading. But if you are finding that things are heating up for you, if you are really resonating with any of the cards this week, or if you would like a personal card pull, I do offer those complimentary as my loving service over on the Marco Polo app. I send you a private recorded card pull this week. So if you would like that, reach out to me in whatever way works for you, and we will take a deeper look. Okay, first up is Monday's card, which represents kicking off the week. Ooh, okay, some hermit energy coming in here. And this is the other hermit. If you've been with me all month, you may know that there are two hermits in this deck, and the other one features a rabbit hole. This one in the cave. So I read them a little differently. We'll tune into what this one is saying for connecting in with your inner wisdom to light the way into this week. Now, Tuesday is going to be our potential block or challenge. So what may be coming forward as a potential block or challenge this week? As the sun will have just entered Taurus on Monday, as well as some other astrological weather. Yeah, there's a number of things for me to cover with you this week. So like I said, April can't stop, won't stop. Ooh, okay. So if ever there was a potential block or challenge, let the 5 of Cups be the one. So there is a little bit of an emotional energy coming in here. I do like to zoom in because you really get to see how gorgeous these cards are. But we see that while they may be draped from head to toe in rain clouds, there is absolutely a rainbow on the other side with butterflies bringing in through the frequency of the number 5, which is change. It's transition. It's the in-between, which we know can be chaotic and confusing and certainly emotional, right? So when we have such new beginning energy firing off as we have and will do continuing into this week, that means some other things have to end, right? Some other things may have spilled or left, or we are choosing to make that difficult decision to let it go. So we see, though, 2 full cups over here. So we'll be exploring what the 5 of Cups is bringing in as a challenge to us this week to grow through what we flow through. Wednesday is our midweek blessing. So what's a midweek blessing for us here as we are continuing through this tumultuous month? Lots of all that fiery energy. Wheel of Fortune. Yeah. Okay. The wheel turns. Like I say, we move from Aries season to Taurus season, which is going to bring in some of that grounded energy. And there's this shift coming in. And this is a major arcana card. So is this. Those are the big secrets, the significant stops along our fool's journey. So big blessing there. We'll check that out. And now let's take a look at Thursday's energy, which is going to be our how we're growing, how we are growing. So how we are growing is going to tune into not just this week, this month, all of Aries season, as we step into Taurus season. You know, where are we at with the expansion of human consciousness and this major ascension that we are moving our way through one way or another? Thursdays, how are we growing? There we go. Ooh, beautiful, foundational, structural, the 4. Lots of rainbows too. We're here for it, right? Bringing in the full color spectrum. So love this coming in with celebrations, with milestones, with tribe. Beautiful energy here for what we are building. Thursday. And then Friday for our final tarot card. Well, we'll just look at this gorgeous card that wanted to plop out. But, ooh, that is a beautiful world. We haven't seen this yet. Let me put her back in. We'll shuffle up. I want to just call out the intention here for Friday. It represents wrapping up the week. Friday's energy. What is coming forward to finish off the tarot energy? Then we will pull our oracle card. There we go. Ooh, okay. The Hierophant, another major arcana, significant energy. And this is bringing in Taurus energy, yes, but also feeling the energy of systems, structures, old This is representing different belief systems and much more, but as well as spiritual expansion and learning, higher learning and ascension energy for sure. Getting some Pope vibes there too. So collective world stage energy as well. Okay, well, we're going to dive into all of that and see. And oh yeah, that's number 5 and that's number 5. So yeah, it's bumpy. It's tumultuous. We're in the thick of it. Let's see what's coming in from the Sacred Traveler for the best path forward as we step out into this uncharted frontier as the pioneers of weaving the light into this massive shift in human consciousness. Sacred Traveler, what's coming forward from there to cap off our messages for the week? One card, please. Oh, okay, front and center. Ooh, Gates of Triumph. Success expands in your life. Love this opening. Love that open path. This is all I feel right away about moving from inside the cave as the hermit in that inner wisdom to stepping out into the new life that is waiting for you. So this is really powerful. So we're going to feel into that after we get some energetic weather that's rolling through this week. We'll get into our intuitive tarot messages, and then we'll finish off with that oracle. Once again, if you would like a personal card pull this week, reach out, let me know, and I will be in touch. But let's tune in now for some energetic weather to support us as we move through this week ahead. All right, let's get into some energetic weather that's rolling through this week. Before we dive into our intuitive card messages, we have a number of aspects to touch on starting here and now. Sunday the 19th, the moon conjunct Venus, Uranus, and Mars conjunct Saturn. This is so cool because my husband and I were actually looking out back after dinner and saw the bright star, the evening star, Venus, just under the moon. So we were seeing it in real time. So now what this is bringing in with some intuitive astrology is with the truth fully spoken and intentions set with courageous conviction, today arrives with an emotional significance and structural weight that makes itself known from the very first moment. So the moon moving through Venus and Uranus creates a current of feeling that is simultaneously warm, surprising, and deeply clarifying. And the emotion that surfaces arrives with a certainty and rightness that catches you completely off guard with how final and freeing it feels. Mars meeting Saturn creates a structural response to everything moving through you, a commitment that feels both completely inevitable and entirely freely chosen by the most awake and honest version of you. And what it builds from here is something that genuinely lasts. Wow. Well, that sounds like in the wake of all of the fire, all of the things that have been brought up, we're starting to see as that smoke clears, new beginnings and fresh energy that's coming in. And so this coming in here on Sunday is really supporting what's going to be for the foreseeable future, what we're building. I'm really feeling that 4 of Wands that's poking in here for Thursday's how we are growing. We'll talk about that in just a few minutes. So now as we step into the week, Monday the 20th, Sun enters Taurus. Happy birthday to all the Tauruses. That fire of Aries season has done something profound and permanent across every area of your life. And as the sun moves into Taurus, the energy shifts into something a bit deeper, slower, and far more enduring in the results that it produces. So this is where everything that was ignited finds its foundation, where the intentions that were set at the new moon find their soil, where healing finds the patience and devotion that it needs to go all the way to the depths, and where the abundance that you've been calling in finds the grounded energy required to fully materialize in your physical reality. So what grows in this season has roots deep enough to hold everything you are becoming. And the evidence of that will keep revealing itself in ways that genuinely astonish you. Yeah, I mean, this is the season of the planting of the seeds. And as we step into May, we'll be shifting from the full frequency focus to our spiritual gardens and the energy of, what has been germinating there beneath the soil that is beginning to break through. And so Taurus season is going to be just the fertilizer for that very thing. Now, also on the 20th, we have Mercury conjunct Saturn and Mars. So on the same day that the sun is settling into Taurus, the words that you choose and commitments that you communicate take on a weight and permanence that transforms every honest and intentional thing you say into something that actively builds the architecture of the life you are creating. Holy Four of Wands, there it is again, the structure, the framework, the foundation. So this How We Are Growing this week, Thursday's card, is definitely spot on to our astrological weather. So Mercury meeting both Saturn and Mars simultaneously, it means that what you communicate today creates structure and initiates movement at exactly the same time. Commitments to your healing that are spoken aloud on this day become foundations. Declarations of your worth become something that holds, and creative visions communicated with full intention set directions. Everything that's following organizes itself around that. And so the life that those words build is more aligned and more extraordinary than anything that comes before them. Wow. So say the thing, say it out loud, right? And casting spells, that's why it's called spelling, right? The words we say, the intentions we set are incredibly powerful. So say it out loud, even if you are whispering it to yourself, speaking it in the mirror in between brushing your teeth. That is definitely coming in to set the tone for the week there on the 20th. Next, we're highlighting the 22nd, Moon conjunct Jupiter. So 2 days into this grounded energy of Taurus season, the universe delivers something today that feels like a direct and extraordinarily generous response to everything you have been courageous enough to release and willing enough to begin without guarantees. Well, now we know why Wednesday we got the Wheel of Fortune, Jupiter energy. The wheel turns and expands. So cards and stars are aligning here big time. So as we say, the moon meeting Jupiter opens something in the emotional and material atmosphere that has been waiting for exactly this level of genuine openness in you. And what arrives through that opening is larger, more generous, and more perfectly aligned with what you actually need than anything you could have arranged on your own. Now, good fortune, you can't make this up with these cards. Wheel of Fortune came up for today. Good fortune arrives today in its most unexpected and perfectly timed form. And the feeling it leaves behind is the feeling of someone that the universe has never once stopped working for. Yeah, it's all aligning for you. It's happening for you. And this day really feels quite expansive to that energy that we're seeing come in. Let's see where we're at. We have a few more things to cover. The 23rd, Venus conjunct Uranus. So still glowing from the grace and good fortune that arrived there the day before on Wednesday. Love does something today that it has never quite done before in your experience. And the doing of it is so unexpected and perfectly aligned with who you are becoming that it feels less like something happening to you. Oh my gosh, I just said this. Less like something that's happening to you and more like something the universe arranged specifically for this version of you. The familiar cycles that have been repeating in your relational world have been breaking open all month long. And what moves in to fill the space that they leave behind arrives now with a warmth, a certainty and freshness that makes it immediately and undeniably clear that this is exactly what was always supposed to replace them. Yeah, and this is where we'll talk about Tuesday, that 5 of Cups coming in here with, blocking and challenging us about loss. But actually the pieces of the puzzle are coming together as we move further into the week, where we're understanding now this was always meant to unfold as it is for me. Now, 2 more aspects here. Friday the 24th, we have Venus enters Gemini. So electric and unexpected energy that came in the previous day with Venus conjunct Uranus finds a whole new atmosphere to expand into as Venus enters Gemini, and everything about the way you attract, connect, create, and experience joy gets lighter, more curious, and more playfully alive. Genuine playfulness and wide open curiosity enter the way you experience attraction, connection, and creative inspiration. And what results is an ease and a delight in your interactions and creative work that makes everything feel energizing in the most welcome way. Now, the connections and inspirations developing through mutual curiosity right now feel both completely effortless and more genuinely aligned with who you actually are than anything that arrived under the weight and expectation ever had the freedom to become. Wow. So yeah, there's some really significant energies moving through that's really starting to help us to see one step and then the next on this fool's journey, how it's all unraveling in order to come back together in a most aligned way. Last aspect I'll touch on, which is Saturday, the 25th, Uranus enters Gemini. What began as a personal awakening in love and creativity yesterday reveals itself today as part of something far vaster and more historically significant. Because as Uranus enters Gemini for the first time in over 8 decades, the shift you feel today goes beyond the personal and enters the collective and the restlessness in your thinking. So the sense that your mind is reaching for something it cannot yet fully articulate, all of it makes complete sense in the light of what is being rewritten at the level of the entire human story. You are entering this new era already transformed, aligned, and more genuinely ready than you have ever been. And the ideas that you carry into it have the power to reach further than you have yet allowed yourself to believe. Wow. I mean, that's huge. This is a massive transit that's happening for the first time in over 80 years. And this is absolutely about our collective ascension and everything that you've been picking up on and feeling and sensing that maybe you can just not quite put your finger on or can't quite put into words, but you feel it. This is what we're talking about that will continue to ripple out as we go. So lots of energy. Makes a lot of sense that we've got 3 major arcana cards, significant energy coming in along with a couple of those flanking energies for us to dive into. So let's take a look now at the cards and see what's coming up for the collective this week. All right, let's jump in here with Monday, bringing in Major Arcana card 9 for the Hermit energy. And not just any hermit, this is one of 2 different style hermits in this deck. And we saw the other one earlier this month. This one, we're going to dive into what the Spring Waite Tarot is bringing in with the guidance here. And I feel like I need to zoom in so we can really see the detail here because I know it's going to reference what we're seeing in the card. So this hermit has ventured back up the mountain and into his cave, where he makes his way through the labyrinth of tunnels. And he will soon reach his living area, including his study, where he will once again pore over the old books and texts and have occupied his time. Moths, symbols of wisdom, circle around and are attracted to his guiding light. So yeah, we see that. We see the moths here, and we see that energy of they're being attracted to his light. I think it's interesting that
This hermit is really focusing on the study because we also have the Hierophant at the other side of the week, Monday to Friday, bookmarking in the week. Both can represent higher learning, expansion into spiritual wisdom, inner wisdom. So 9, of course, is a culmination, graduation energy. So really shining a light on, shining a light on what we are welcoming in, what we are stepping into now with this inner wisdom. But I just got with the moths, it's like opening up an old chest or closet with the moths flying out. And it's like all this old, dusty, crusty, musty energy and ways of being and systems that are crumbling. The light is shining on them more than ever. So this is where we're holding on as we're moving through all of these energies, tumultuous, the frequency of the 5, which we see twice this week in our potential blocker challenge and in wrapping up the energy with the Hierophant. So the Hermit is really anchoring in, tuning into your wisdom. And from a real practical standpoint, I really feel some people may be entering into different areas of study or something of like esoteric knowledge or ancient texts or something like that, where I think some people are actually going to be doing some type of study reading because we definitely have some energy of that coming in. Let's take a look now at Tuesday's energy to see the potential block or challenge. All right, Tuesday, bringing in our potential block or challenge comes our 5 of Cups. So let's take a look at this one. Get a little bit of that rainbow sparkle, but the rain clouds too. So as we take a look here at the Spring Waite guidance, it says, a man wearing a cloak with a rain cloud motif stands looking at 3 cups that have been spilled. He is totally depressed with the situation. He feels regret, failure, and various other negative emotions. However, he has 2 cups left and all is not lost. He can climb his way back out of this situation. Yeah, I feel like, this is about sitting with what is heavy, what is difficult, what is feeling like a loss, or often I'll say about those spilled cups, there is no putting the contents back in those cups, or perhaps they were never in there. So there's this sense of loss or leaving or something that was not to be that is really clouding over us. I mean, literally from head to toe, rain clouds, right? But the yellow of the robe is giving me that silver lining, that sunrise on the horizon. And of course, we do see the rainbow there just in the distance that, into every life, a little or some or significant amounts of rain must fall, right? However it may be. I'm thinking about Frank Sinatra, Pennies from Heaven. Every time that the rain falls, it's bringing pennies from heaven, and that's, I'll have to share my old reel that I did with the music and tarot tunes because there was a message that came through in that old reel that I think is also going to be significant here because it's about those hidden blessings. It's about the things that appear like the rainy day or the unwanted delays or rejections or things that feel so heavy that actually are blessings. They're little pennies from the sky, energy that's coming around, coming into the atmosphere that is serving. Even while it's happening, it feels like a loss. The 2 butterflies. A lot of times we'll talk about that metamorphosis process, the caterpillar going into the chrysalis, literally turning to mush. While that period is going on, there's not a whole lot, I imagine, that's about pennies from heaven, blessings, spreading our wings, freedom, expansion until they emerge from the cocoon. So I love to use that analogy, of course, for moving through that mush and getting poised and ready to launch. And that's what we see as the wheel now turns the very next day, Wednesday's energy, bringing in our midweek blessing. Let's take a look. All right, Wednesday is bringing in this amazing energy. The Wheel of Fortune, which is so perfectly matched with the astrological weather we were just diving into, specifically on the 22nd, this day, the moon conjunct Jupiter, literally talking about, the wheel turning and unexpected, expansive, good fortune, the Wheel of Fortune. So Spring Waite says, a white rabbit sits on top of a wooden wheel. Attached to the wheel for decorative purposes are bouquets of flowers. On the top left of the card, we see blue tits, common in the UK and elsewhere in spring. Butterflies on the top right. Bottom right, we see ducklings amidst the bulrushes, and a lamb amidst daffodils on the bottom left. Finally, to complete the scene, we have a rainbow in the top half of the card and its watery reflection on the bottom. So we see that full spectrum rainbow, as above, so below, reflected in the water, water being emotion, right? And it can be murky and churned up and all the things, and yet there is the rainbow being reflected back. And so, this is a card that represents a change of fortune. Yes, it can be in what we perceive as the negative or in the positive, just depending on your current situation and how you're coming into the query. So, if you find yourself in a difficult situation, this could be a beautiful, expansive omen for a change in the wind, of a shift, of a turning of the wheel. And so on the other side, of course, anytime that things change, they can move in either direction, But again, this is where, if you are finding that these cards are resonating, or you're not sure how this might apply to you, or there's something specific coming to mind that you want to explore, you may like to have a personal card pull this week. And if so, reach out and let me know, and we'll take a closer look to your specific situation. But this is really a beautiful energy and packed full with new beginning, rebirth, renewal, spring energy here as the wheel turns, as Taurus season arrives, and we move forward. It's big. So let's keep going with our Thursday, how we are growing. All right, Thursday, how are we growing? And we have the beautiful Four of Wands. And this version, pretty true to the traditional. We see the two women, we see the hopa here, this archway with the four wands, making that framework. We see the abundance of grapes, and there's definitely an indication of some type of celebration going on. The Spring Waite speaks of these two women greeting someone, and we can't see who it is, but there's definitely a sense of coming home or a reunion of some kind, and typically does denote milestones of different types, birthdays, anniversaries, graduations, some type of celebration. So from a practical standpoint, this week into the weekend, you could have some type of celebration happening in your home and in someone else's home, or a homecoming of some kind that is being highlighted here. I'm even going to go so far as to say like proms and those types of things, because I know it's the season for that. Ours is in actually not until the beginning of June this year, which is pretty late, but I know that there's a lot of that going on too. So it just feels like there's a celebratory energy, but also, it must be said, Thursday's energy, how we're growing, and throughout all of the astrological weather we tuned into for this week, there was a whole lot about the foundation that's being built, about the framework that's being set, and so that is really feeling like the energy that we're picking up here, because of course the four is that number of stability, framework, like the four legs of a chair or a table, like creating some type of stability. So this is also feeling like, because it is in the home or in the community, your focus being best served right where you are, and the ways in which you can welcome in that energy in your space and from where you are. So while the wheel turns and all of the things that are playing out in the world, right, and in the macro, as for you, bring it into your space, and really in a celebratory way, with gratitude, with abundance, with the grapes, with the joy, with the sense of, and this can also be about like dancing and movement, really connecting in with that. And also just kind of looking at their garments, and what's been really beautiful working with this deck this month, aligning with the full frequency and all the work that we've been doing with the Empowerment Pack. We were and still are checking in with our chakras, seeing how energy is moving in the body, so everyone is aware of which chakras were coming up with some TLC needed at the beginning of the month. This week, we're going to be checking in with how those chakras are looking now. So this deck has really been providing the colors that jump out, the purple, the orange, the blue, the red shoes that we see here, really tying into the different energy centers in the body and helping to literally drape you, or this garment. I love that the orange sash is all around the waist, because there's this sense again of your passion, your desire, your creativity, what you are wishing to birth into the world being right there at your center and being held by the purple, the robe, but also the purple being your third eye, your intuition, connecting in with your hermit, your inner wisdom, right? As we look across our spread here for the week, because again, Thursday's not just talking about that day, not even just this week. How are we growing as we are moving through all of these energies? So welcoming back to home the sense of stability, of safety, of celebration, and gratitude I'm feeling there. Let's look at our last tarot card next to finish out the week, and then we will check out that oracle message. All right, last but not least, Friday, bringing in another major arcana card, the Hierophant. So, as I mentioned in the card polls, this guy represents all things institution and all of the old business and religion and government and all of those systems. And, being that we are talking about how we are growing and expanding, and with all of the astrological weather coming in across, the end of the week especially, and this was the 24th with Venus entering Gemini, just before that huge, Uranus entering Gemini as well that we talked about, with first time in 80 years. So it's bringing us back to what was going on over 8 decades ago, the last time Uranus was in Gemini. So I'm sure that if we were really sitting and looking that up and checking that out, there's going to be so many parallels and things that inform us about, these loops and these things that we've been repeating as a human collective over and over again that are just now really breaking up and shifting and changing in a whole new way. So the Hierophant, this one is a druid priest sitting on a throne made from trees. He holds an oak leaf in his one hand and a sacred wand in the other. Bluebells surround him, and he represents spiritual matters of all kinds. Like I said, when I first looked at this, obvious reasons perhaps, I did get some Pope vibes, again, all of the things happening that are playing out on the world stage of a spiritual nature, this again, Hierophant is Taurus energy. So we're talking about, body and health and finance and so many other areas that could be highlighted with this again being a 5 frequency. So we're talking about change, transition, and instability. We're talking about things being very tumultuous in the in-between, because we're no longer where we once were, not yet where we are going to be. So, many different ways that this energy could be playing up, but, just kind of speaking out the different vibes I'm getting here with this energy. Lots of flowers on the ground. So there's definitely a lot of new life that's springing up from the fertilizer that is being created from the old, that's crumbling and being exposed and brought up to the surface in order to create new growth. And like I said, we could go in layer by layer of the symbolism of the specific flowers that were mentioned, the bluebells specifically. Interestingly enough, just off the cuff and just to the side here, we have Bluebell Bridge, which is, of course, the energy of loss and grief. So that feels very aligned here with the Tuesday potential block or challenge with this energy of the Hierophant. And I'm just, connecting those spiritual breadcrumbs here, following them along to bring in this frequency of loss and grief, that which is dying, that which is moving out. And there's a bittersweetness to that. And there's a nostalgia and there's an unknown and all the things that, this is again, bringing us into the need to really be mindful of our energetic hygiene and how we're caring for ourselves. I believe it was still March, but I did share previously about the armor of God, placing that on with intention every day. about, clearing our fields, cutting cords, calling our energy back to ourselves regularly, and how important that is. So that if you are moving through any type of loss and grief, or just tapping into it, that it might not even be yours, this is something that's also pinging here. So once again, if that is something that's resonating for you, happy to, point you in the direction of the channeled words that go with this spray. They are beautiful, from Amanda Ellis, as well as, kind of connecting more of those spiritual breadcrumbs as they may be applying for you specifically. Okay, we're going to take a look at our final card now, coming in from the Sacred Traveler, and then I will send you on your way. All right, finally, we have our oracle message to punctuate all of the messages that have come forward from the energetic weather, from the tarot cards, and wow, just skimming this. So many of the cards and the energies that we've been touching on are culminating here in the best way. So this card is called Gates of Triumph. Success expands in your life. And this is speaking to the gates of triumph waiting to open deep and wide for you. Inner and outer success is coming your way. Thriving is a state of mind, except that you can reach any goal that you desire, and even more victories will expand in your life. The more you feel it, the more love, prosperity, fame, and fortune will pour into your life. I mean, wow, I don't want to get overexcited here, but Wheel of Fortune smack in the middle of our week on a Jupiter day, and we're talking about all of the good fortune and expansion that's coming up inside and outside, inner and outer. So the Hermit, and then to the Hierophant at the end of the week. So the Sacred Traveler wants you to know, arriving in a foreign hamlet, wreaths of flowers are placed around the Sacred Traveler's shoulders. The townspeople celebrate and honor the traveler. The village elders know the challenges faced and overcome and are welcoming with open arms. If a situation knocks you over, get up and brush yourself off and discover what you learned. You aren't a failure if you fall down, only if you stay down. So keep going and believe in yourself. This is what true success is. Acknowledge your accomplishments in life. They are more than you imagine. Victory, good fortune, and triumph are at hand. I mean, it's a gorgeous card. I love the opening here of these gates of triumph, the path, the sunrise ahead. And this is so in aligned with, I just downloaded so many different things ahead of the new moon in Aries that I mentioned earlier was about like the scout and pioneer energy of this new frontier. If you are here tuning into these messages, you are likely right there on the front line with many of us as light weavers and workers and holding and seeding this new energy. And really, we've been in this state of trying to hold it together, right? But those things are all shifting now. And there's a new challenge. Hermits, right? To come out of our caves with all of that inner wisdom that we've gathered and step out into that new frontier as those scouts or pioneers with a genuine fool's curiosity and openness and wonder, so that even when things inevitably befall our path, inevitably the rain, inevitably the barriers, the stumbling blocks that will come up on that path. We can't see what's around the bend as we look at this card. But if we are aligning ourselves with that frequency that the energetic weather mentioned about, it's not happening to me, it's all aligning for me. And not just me as I stand here now, but my future self, who is even more aligned with my wise highest self, a more authentic, more expansive version of me, so that the things that are happening right here and now can feel and be a very specific way. And that is rightfully so and deserves its acknowledgement and to hold space for that. It's not to spiritually bypass and say, pennies from heaven, everybody. But also it is, because there's this sense of developing that curiosity and wonder, knowing that there's going to be those things that come about on our paths, and genuinely approach them with that curiosity of like, what is this setback coming up? What is this happening for me to see something that I may not have otherwise seen? Or a diversion, meandering down another path, or something that on that path is going to be a person, a place, a thing, something that comes about that I could have never seen coming, that is absolutely instrumental to what is meant for me just around the bend. So this is a very positive and expansive card. I really love. Success expands in your life. The gates of triumph. Beautiful. Okay, we packed a lot in there. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for considering supporting Team Breathe for Barbie with my 2 for $27 special. If you have questions about that, please reach out. But like I say, the sooner the better if you think you might be interested, just to get you on the list, and then also to be sure that I can give my donation over for Team Breathe for Barbie by April 30th. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for being here. I'm sending you all much love, many blessings, and a beautiful week ahead. We'll talk soon.